Rachel, it's me. I'm going to go ahead and try and walk you through how to do Google Maps setup. And so it's super easy, I think. Once you get the hang of it, once you do it at least the first time, you'll be smooth sailing. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that you are signed into your Google account, whichever Google account you want to use. I know I made one personally for the school that I work for, and of course the Google Maps. And I always have it signed in on my computer. That way I can just automatically go in and view the Google Maps. But once you sign into the Google Maps or the Google account, sorry, you can either go straight through that or you can type in my Google Maps into Yahoo or Google, sorry, sign in. Of course, once you've signed in, it'll pop up. This is mine that I have, of course. I've already started setting up my stuff for the semester, so that's why I have so many already. But this should be blank for you once you get into it. You will go to create a new map. And this will be what you first see. Now, depending on what you want to do for layers, this is your category section. And you can do as many categories as you want. I do between 6 and 8, depending on the class and depending on the topic that I'm doing. So it's really simple. Whichever kind of layers you want to do, you can change it. So to do that, just double click on Untitled Layer. And then I do People, Place, Event, I do all Idea. I started doing separating idea and policy together just because students, it was just easier that way. You do policy, so like government policies, treaties, things like that. I also do commodity, but most of my students don't really do anything with that. This semester I had one class that actually did do something, but don't be surprised if nobody does anything like that unless you force them to. Battle. So far we have battle, commodity, policy, idea, event, place, and people. And that is basically your basic general categories that I do. You can always add or subtract or do everything that you want. Each one of them is open already, so if you see the check mark beside them, that is an open category. If you uncheck mark it, whatever is check marked is the only thing that you'll see for that category. And in order to have students place their stuff, make sure that they only select the correct category so that that marker goes under that category and not something else. If they have two things check marked, the first one that's check marked will be the one that they place their marker under. That's just the way it goes. You can title your map any way you want. I add a description. You can add as many layers, like I said. So just for your reference for your students, what you'll do is when your students are placing markers, it's really super easy. There's like two ways to do it. They're going to check mark that category or box, and they're going to hit add marker, and you literally can put it anywhere on the map. This will open up that text box, and so this is where I put title for them to do, and then I do dates or important date up there at the top, and this is where they're going to copy and paste their entire entry. So I do 150 to 250 words. I also make them do a citation, and then I make them put their initials underneath at the bottom, just so that I'm aware of who's doing it here on the map. And then you can click save, of course, and it'll pop up under that category. You can change it. You can do different weird styles. Now, the thing is, if they do this and they do an icon, it's really hard to move it. So if they put it under the wrong category and you want to move it, what you can do is just drag and drop, basically, like that, and it'll move it. But if they start doing really weird kind of style type icons and colors and stuff, it actually locks it, and I have not been able to figure out how to move them when they're like that. So I would advise your students not to mess with that. You can add pictures and videos. Some of my students do, and they're actually pretty cool. You can, of course, delete it. It's up to you. So once you do that entry, it'll show up automatically. Now, like I said, each box, each category, it's by itself. And so if you only open one box, then it'll only show you what entries are under there. If you want to open up all of them and see all of them, you need to open up all of the categories. So as you noticed, we have people and places opened, and my example is showing. But if we unmark place, it doesn't show up. So it's kind of easier that way, especially when you start getting a whole bunch of entries on your map. It kind of makes it a little bit harder to see, especially if they're right on top of each other. Another way to place your marker is you can actually search a location. So if you want a specific location, city, place, things like that, you can do it in the search box. Click on it, and it'll go directly to that and place a marker. Now, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you delete it here. It'll still show up here, and then place your marker. Once you place your marker that way, like I said, you can delete it here, and then it'll show up still on the map, and you can do it that way. And that's it. When you do connections, what you can do is, we'll zoom out. And say I had another marker here, you would draw a line, add your line from, say, marker here, and then whatever marker, and it'll show up there. Double click on that second part, and it'll come up with a line, and you do basically your marker that way. What I'm having my students do this semester is I'm going to have an actual category directly for connections. So it makes it easier to see because it'll come up with that weird line. But then some students do just the add marker, which is not what they're needing to do. They need to actually draw a line and make that connection. Like I said, super, super easy. If you have any problems, let me know. I did forget to tell you one thing. In order to share with your class, you need to go ahead and click the share button. Oh, that's not right. Here we go. Sorry about that. It'll come up once you do the share. It'll do share settings. This is the link that you're going to give your students, but you will need to change this to anyone with a link. So link sharing anyone, and then anyone with access you can edit, and then click save. And that way, anybody who has this link up here that you've given them, which I put in my assignments, they can click on that, and it'll go directly to the map, and they can start editing and doing their entries and stuff. If you don't change it to this, anyone with a link and then can edit, the students will not be able to do anything in it. So that's it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have fun.